Alors bonsoir, bienvenue à la séance du conseil municipal de la ville de Montréal-Ouest du 30 mars 2026. Good evening. Welcome to the Montreal-Ouest Town Council meeting of March 30th, 2026.
Je propose de la...
Ouverture de la séance.
Je propose d'ouvrir la séance. Je m'excuse.
Je le seconde.
Tous en faveur? All in favor?
Oui.
Oui.
Adoption de l'ordre du jour.
Je propose d'adopter l'ordre du jour de la séance ordinaire du 30 mars 2026 tel que présenté.
Je l'appuie.
Tous en faveur? All in favor?
Oui.
Oui.
Approbation des procès-verbaux.
Je propose d'approuver le procès-verbal de la séance ordinaire du Conseil tenue le 23 février 2026.
Je le seconde.
Tous en faveur? All in favor?
Oui.
Report of the Mayor. Rapport du maire. Sécurité de l'intersection Ainsley-Westminster. Suivant l'accident impliquant 2 élèves, nous avons convoqué une rencontre de travail entre la Ville de Montréal-Ouest, la députée Desiree McGrath, le SPVM, l'IMSB, Royal West Academy et le sous-comité sur la sécurité de l'organisation de parents de l'Académie Royal West pour évaluer les rôles et responsabilités de tous dans la recherche de solutions pour réduire les risques et augmenter la sécurité des plus vulnérables à l'intersection. Tous les intervenants collaborent et sont engagés dans la démarche. Plusieurs pistes de solutions sont à l'étude par l'ensemble des partenaires, notamment l'option de brigadiers privés ou bénévoles et les questions d'assurance responsabilité civile que cela implique. Des communications politiques avec le gouvernement du Québec ont lieu en parallèle. Du côté de la Ville, nous venons d'octroyer un mandat d'étude à une firme d'ingénieurs dans l'objectif d'implanter dans les prochains mois de nouvelles mesures d'apaisement de la circulation. Une nouvelle signalisation temporaire a également été installée aujourd'hui et nous venons, il y a quelques instants, d'apprendre que suivant une rencontre exceptionnelle du comité d'analyse des traverses, le SPVM a accepté de placer un brigadier à l'intersection jusqu'à la fin de l'année scolaire, de manière exceptionnelle. C'est donc une excellente nouvelle pour tous les écoliers. So safety at the Ainsley-Westminster intersection. Following the accident involving 2 students, we convened a working meeting between the town, M&A Desiree McGrath, the SPVM, EMSB, Royal West Academy, and the Parents Association Subcommittee on Safety to assess everyone's role and responsibility in finding solutions to reduce risk and increase the safety of the most vulnerable at the intersection. Several solutions are being studied by all partners, including the option of private or volunteer crossing guard and the associated liability insurance issues. Political communication with the government of Quebec are taking place concurrently. On the town side, we have just awarded a new mandate to an engineering firm to conduct a study with the goal of implementing new traffic calming measures in the coming months. New temporary signage was also installed today, and we have just learned that following an exceptional meeting with the Crossing Analysis Committee, the SPVM has agreed to station a crossing guard at the intersection until the end of the school year. This is an excellent news for all children. La présence du SPVM au conseil municipal. Nous avons jugé pertinent d'inviter le commandant de police à siéger au conseil municipal pour présenter des informations et répondre aux citoyens. Partenaire important de Montréal-Ouest, il sera présent en début de chaque conseil municipal à compter de la prochaine séance du 27 avril. SPVM presence at the Town Council, we felt it was important to invite the police commander to attend the Town Council meetings to present information and answer residents' questions. As an important partner of Montreal-West, he will be present at the beginning of each Town Council meeting, starting with the next meeting on April 27th. Rencontres politiques et formation. Dans les derniers mois, j'ai eu des rencontres avec le directeur de l'EMSB et de la CSSDM pour comprendre leurs relations avec Montréal-Ouest, leur mode de fonctionnement et leur planification stratégique. Nous avons plus spécifiquement abordé avec l'EMSB le dossier de la Little Red Playhouse, de leur propriété, de même que de la permission d'utiliser, d'entretenir et d'améliorer le terrain de baseball. J'ai rencontré la mairesse de l'arrondissement de la Chine pour discuter de la reconstruction de l'échangeur Saint-Pierre, à l'étude selon le gouvernement du Québec, des enjeux de mobilité entre nos territoires et de la valeur environnementale de la falaise. Nous continuons également nos discussions avec Hydro-Québec pour améliorer les communications avec nous et comprendre la planification pour la prochaine décennie. Political meetings and training. Over the past month, I've met with the directors of EMSB and CSSDM to understand their relationship with Montreal-West, their operating methods, and their strategic plans. More specifically, we discussed with the EMSB the Little Red Playhouse file, their properties, and the permission to use, maintain, and improve the baseball field. I met with the mayor of Lachine Borough to discuss the reconstruction of the Saint-Pierre interchange, currently under study by the Quebec government, mobility issues between our territories, and environmental value of the cliff. We are also continuing our discussion with Hydro-Québec to improve their communication with us and understand their planning for the next decade. Tous les élus ont rencontré la présidente directrice générale de la Chambre de commerce de Montréal Centre-Sud-Ouest pour évaluer les opportunités que cela offre à la ville. Enfin, j'ai suivi un webinaire sur comment intégrer l'économie circulaire dans les pratiques municipales, outils pour réduire les émissions de GES, suivi un webinaire d'Hydro-Québec intitulé « Mieux comprendre la maîtrise de la végétation pour protéger notre réseau » et suivi une formation sur le réseautage d'affaires intelligent et rentable offert par la Chambre de commerce du Montréal métropolitain. All elected officials met with the president and CEO of the Montreal Southwest Chamber of Commerce to assess the opportunity this represents for the town. I also attended a webinar on integrating the circular economy into municipal practices, attended a Hydro-Québec webinar entitled Better Understanding Vegetation Management to Protect Our Network, and a training session on smart and profitable business networking offered by the Chamber of Commerce of Montreal. Union des municipalités du Québec. J'ai été nommé au sein de 2 commissions permanentes de l'Union des municipalités du Québec qui regroupent des élus de partout au Québec, soit la Commission de l'aménagement et des transports et la Commission de l'environnement et des changements climatiques. Nous nous réunirons plusieurs fois par année pour aborder des thèmes et des enjeux qui préoccupent les villes et participer à l'élaboration de mémoires, prises de position et diverses interventions publiques. Concernant le récent dépôt du budget 2026-2027 à l'Assemblée nationale, l'Union des municipalités du Québec note un premier signal de réinvestissement du gouvernement dans les infrastructures municipales, mais souligne que ces sommes sont largement insuffisantes pour rattraper le désengagement marqué depuis plusieurs années et répondre aux besoins grandissants des municipalités. Union of Quebec Municipalities, I've been appointed to 2 standing committees of the UMQ, which bring together elected officials from across Quebec, the Planning and Transportation Committee and the Environment and Climate Change Committee. We will meet several times a year to discuss issues and challenges of concern to municipalities and to participate in the drafting of briefs, position papers, and various public statements by the Union. Regarding the recent tabling of the 2026-27 budget of the National Assembly, the UMQ note an initial sign of reinvestment by the Quebec government in municipal infrastructure, but emphasized that these funds are far from sufficient to make up for the significant disengagement of recent years and to meet the growing needs of municipalities. Événement majeur montréalais en 2026. À l'initiative de Christine Black, vice-présidente du comité exécutif responsable de la famille et des personnes aînées, de la jeunesse et du sport et du loisir, et Gabriel Rousseau-Bélanger, membre du comité exécutif responsable de l'environnement, de la transition écologique et des espaces verts de la Ville de Montréal, les élus de l'agglomération se sont rencontrés et mobilisés dans le cadre de la planification des grandes célébrations prévues en 2026, incluant les championnats du monde de route UCI Montréal 2026, le 50e anniversaire des Jeux olympiques de Montréal, le 150e anniversaire du Parc du Mont-Royal et le 300e anniversaire du site des Moulins. Cette rencontre répondait aux objectifs de présenter les grandes lignes des célébrations prévues en 26, préciser les rôles potentiels des arrondissements et villes liées, amorcer la coordination interéquipe pour l'élaboration du programme, recueillir les besoins, commentaires et préoccupations afin de favoriser une mobilisation harmonieuse. Nous vous reviendrons dans les prochains mois avec davantage d'informations pour encourager la participation de tous les citoyens à ces grandes célébrations de rayonnement international pour la grande région de Montréal. So major Montreal events in 2026, at the initiative of Christine Black, Vice President of the Executive Committee, and Gabriel Rousseau-Bélanger, Executive Committee Member of the City of Montreal. We met with them and mobilized to plan the major celebrations scheduled for 2026, including the UCI Road World Championship in Montreal, the 50th anniversary of the Montreal Olympic Games, the 150th anniversary of the Mount Royal Park, and the 300th anniversary of the Moulin site. This meeting aimed to present the main features of the celebration, plan for 26, clarify the potential roles of the boroughs and affiliated cities, initiate inter-team coordination for program development, gather needs, comments, and concern to foster harmonious mobilization. We will get back to you in the next months with more information to encourage the participation of all citizens in these major celebrations of international renown for the greater Montreal area. Visite de Moisson Montréal, à l'invitation de sa directrice générale, j'ai eu l'opportunité de visiter Moisson Montréal, dont la mission est d'assurer un approvisionnement alimentaire optimal aux organismes communautaires montréalais, tout en développant des solutions durables. Près d'1 million de demandes d'aide alimentaire sont comblées chaque mois par l'entremise des organismes accrédités. La demande ne cesse de croître et c'est important de bien comprendre cette réalité touchant de plus en plus de citoyens. So visit to Moisson Montréal at the invitation of the executive director. I had the opportunity to visit Moisson Montréal, whose mission is to ensure an optimal food supply for Montreal community organization while developing sustainable solution. Almost 1 million requests for food assistance are met each month through accredited organization. Demand continues to grow, and it's important to understand this reality, which is affecting more and more of our citizens. Fête de la Saint-Patrick et de Pâques. Donc, dans le mois de mars, j'ai participé avec plusieurs élus à des grands rassemblements festifs. Le dîner de la Saint-Patrick pour les membres du club 60 ans et plus s'est déroulé dans la nouvelle salle polyvalente du Centre sportif et récréatif. Près de 70 personnes y ont participé dans une belle ambiance aux airs celtiques. Un grand merci aux musiciens, aux bénévoles et aux conseillers Nick Tassé et Philippe Bergeron en particulier pour leur travail en cuisine. Je pense que le ragoût de Nick est déjà devenu une tradition, tellement il a reçu d'éloges. La Saint-Patrick rime aussi avec le tournoi Shamrock, donc du club de curling de Montréal-Ouest. Ce fut un plaisir d'y participer, autant comme joueur que comme spectateur. La finale a été chaudement disputée jusqu'à la dernière pierre, remportée par l'équipe du jeune capitaine Yekai Fu. Enfin, cette fin de semaine avait lieu la fête donc, du lapin et la célèbre chasse aux œufs. St. Patrick's Day and Easter celebration during the month of March. I participate along with councillors in 3 large festive gatherings. The St. Patrick Day's lunch for members of the 60-plus club took place in the new multi-purpose room of the Sports and Rec Center. Nearly 70 people attended in a wonderful atmosphere. A big thank to the musicians, volunteers, and councillors Nick Tassé and Phil Bergeron for their work in the kitchen. Like I said, I think next stew is already a tradition, giving the rave reviews it received. St. Patrick's Day also coincided with the Shamrock tournament at the Montreal-West Curling Club. It was a pleasure to participate both as a player and a spectator. The final was hotly contested until the very last stone, which was won by the team of young skip Yekai Fu. This weekend, I also participate, along with others, and with my family in the Cottontail party and the egg hunt at the town hall. Okay, so finally, comité de participation citoyenne. Donc, le dépôt des candidatures pour siéger aux comités municipaux se termine demain. Nous sommes très heureux de l'intérêt des citoyens et de la très, très grande quantité de candidatures reçues. Le conseil se réunira au mois de mars pour sélectionner les membres et une résolution officielle sera adoptée au prochain conseil. Les travaux commenceront au mois de mai et juin. Enfin, le dernier mois a été marqué aussi par un cocktail météo qui n'a pas rendu facile le travail de nos employés. Je les remercie pour leurs efforts pour s'assurer que nos rues et trottoirs soient les plus praticables et sécuritaires possibles et nous espérons que le printemps s'installe enfin dans les prochains jours. Citizen participation committees, to finish, the deadline for submitting application to sit on the municipal committees is tomorrow. We are very pleased with the level of interest from citizens as we receive approximately 50 to 60 applications so far. Council will meet in April to select the members, and an official resolution will be adopted at the next town council, and the work of the committees will begin in May and June. Finally, the past month was marked by a mix of weather conditions that made the work of our employees challenging. I thank them for their efforts in ensuring that our streets and sidewalks are as accessible and safe as possible under these conditions. We hope that spring will finally arrive in the coming days as Easter break approaches. Ceci conclut mon rapport du mois de mars. This concludes my report for March. Now reporting from Seat 1, Councillor Lauren Small-Pennefather.
Thank you for coming this evening. It looks like spring is on the horizon. In February, the grant applications from the Community Services Council were approved, and amounts have been distributed to the following organization. The Montreal-West Public Library got $110,829 with an additional amount for their rent, which is $53,578.28. Children's Library, $91,000. Informer, $27,000. The Community Services Council, $5,000. And Dr. John Drummond, Roots and Remembrance, $250. Merci d'être venu ce soir. On dirait que le printemps pointe le bout de son nez. En février, les demandes de subvention du Conseil des services communautaires ont été approuvées et les montants ont été versés aux organisations suivantes. Donc, la Bibliothèque de Montréal-Ouest a reçu 110 829 et aussi une loyer de 53 568 $ et 28 cents. La Bibliothèque des enfants a reçu 91 000 $, Informer 27 000 $. Le Conseil de services communautaires a reçu 5 000 $ et Dr. John Drummond, pour son programme de Roots and Remembrance, a reçu 250 $. The report of the Treasurer on activities related to the financing of independent candidates and the control of elections was tabled with Council and published in the Suburban. Le budget de Québec pour 26-27, présente le 18 mars 2026 par le ministre des Finances Éric Girard, prévoit un déficit de 8,6 milliards de dollars avant les versements de fonds des générations et 9,6 milliards de dollars de nouvelles dépenses sur 5 ans. Ils mettent l'accent sur modération budgétaire en cette année électorale en accordant la priorité de la santé de 2,2 milliards de dollars, l'éducation 640 millions de dollars et la sécurité publique. The Quebec Budget 2026-27, presented on March 18, 2026 by Finance Minister Éric Girard, projects an $8.6 billion deficit before generation fund payment and a $9.6 billion in new spending over 5 years. It focuses on restraint during an election year, prioritizing health at $2.2 billion, education at $640 million, and public safety. Official bilingualism. Talc appeared as an intervener before the Supreme Court of Canada last week in the appeal concerning the Quebec Bill 21, an act respecting the laicity of state. Talc's intervention focused specifically on Section 23 of the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms, which guarantees minority language education rights and is the cornerstone right of official language minority communities across Canada. Finance Committee. Plusieurs excellents candidats se sont portés volontaires. La Commission de finances sera l'instance appropriée pour mener des réflexions stratégiques sur la manière de préparer la ville à aller de l'avant et assurer sa visibilité financière. We have some excellent candidates that submitted their candidacy to the Finance Committee, which will be appropriate venue to have strategic discussions on how to prepare the town to be future forward and remain fiscally responsible in our choices. Le 9 avril, journée de la crête de Vimy, est une journée dédiée à la commémoration des morts et des blessés de corps canadiens lors de la bataille de la crête de Vimy qui s'est déroulée pendant la Première Guerre mondiale. April 9th is Vimy Ridge Day to commemorate the deaths and casualties of members of the Canadian Corps of Battle of Vimy Ridge, which took place during the First World War. And for those celebrating Happy Easter and Chag Sameach Pesach, donc je vous souhaite une joyeuse Pâques et un Chag Sameach Pesach. Merci et bonne journée.
Merci beaucoup, conseillère Small-Pennefeller. Now reporting from C2, Councillor Marta Slocum.
Good evening. Thank you for being here. I'd like to start with a quick reminder that between April and November, we hold 2 Planning Advisory Committee meetings per month. Les rencontres du mois d'avril sont le 8 avril et le 22 avril. Please ensure that complete files are submitted at least 2 weeks in advance. As an avid gardener, I'm excitedly waiting for the warm weather to warm up, and I know many of us are eager to get our hands in the dirt. As you plan your gardens, I encourage you to consider incorporating indigenous plants. This is something that is very close to my heart. There's a lot of variety available, and research continues to show that creating connected green spaces can support pollinators and local wildlife. I know there's been some concern raised by residents about the removal of public trees. I can assure you that we view trees as very important assets, especially in their role in mitigating heat islands, and it is a priority to maintain and enhance our urban canopy. Caring for our neighborhood isn't only about our homes and gardens, it's also about looking out for one another. While the new age-friendly municipality committee has not yet been formed, thanks to dedicated volunteers, we're moving forward with the Caring Neighborhood Initiative. This spring, families are invited to sign up to donate 3 hours during the month of May to assist seniors with outdoor chores. Participants will be paired with residents who have requested support. You can sign up through the Recreation Department. My family will be participating, and I hope many of you will as well. It's a wonderful way to build connections in our community. In the same spirit of connection, we continue to look for ways to engage more directly with residents. Our first discussion with council event will take place on April 15th at 8 a.m. at the new Recreation Center. These informal gatherings will be held at different times and locations to make them as accessible as possible. They offer an opportunity to share your thoughts, concerns, and ideas with us in a more relaxed setting. I look forward to seeing many of you there. April is also Volunteer Appreciation Month, and Montreal-Ouest has a proud tradition of volunteerism. While it can be difficult to find the time, there are many ways to get involved, from Meals on Wheels to the public library to coaching local sports teams. Applications for our town committees, as the mayor mentioned, we've been very pleased with the response, and applications are accepted until tomorrow. These committees are going to meet as needed, generally 8 to 10 times per year, and offer a meaningful way to contribute to the life of our community. Lastly, I hope that many of you will consider attending the pub night on April 25th at the Sports and Recreation Center for a night of music and fun. Some tickets are still available. And it's a great opportunity to enjoy our new center and have it on good word that some members of council will be there as well. Thank you. Merci.
Thank you, Councillor Slocum. Now reporting from seat number 3, Councillor Nick Tassé.
Good evening, everyone. Bonsoir tout le monde. I'd like to begin by saying it's been another busy and productive period for both public works and economic development. I continue to greatly appreciate the volume of feedback I receive from the residents. This plays a very important role in guiding our discussions and decisions. Du côté des travaux publics, nous gérons toujours la transition saisonnière alors que nous passons des opérations hivernales au nettoyage printanier. En raison des cycles répétés de gel et de dégel, les équipes interviennent pour réparer les nids de poules lorsque les conditions le permettent, en priorisant les secteurs où la détérioration est la plus marquée. Many residents, myself included, would like to thank the team for their proactive preparation ahead of the ice storm that was forecast earlier this month and ultimately spared our town. Streets were salted early and generously, and it was reassuring to see a preventative approach taken rather than a reactive one in a potentially hazardous situation. Nous continuons toutefois de recevoir un nombre important de plaintes concernant la manipulation des bacs de déchets, qu'il s'agisse de bacs endommagés ou laissés dans la chaussée après la collecte. Cette situation demeure un enjeu avec l'entrepreneur et elle fait l'objet d'un suivi constant de notre part. I would like to strongly encourage residents to report any missed collections, damaged bins, or bins left on the roadway through the town's online portal. These reports are essential and they allow us to identify patterns, maintain a clear record, and hold the contractor accountable if and when necessary. Sur le plan opérationnel, j'ai le plaisir d'annoncer que 3 des 6 véhicules demandés par le service des travaux publics sont maintenant mis en commande au centre d'acquisition gouvernementale. Ils devraient être mis en service prochainement, ce qui contribuera directement au maintien et amélioration de la prestation des services. Le projet planifié sur la rue Courtney est couramment en appel d'offres et la consultation avec les citoyens affectés se tiendra sous peu. We also welcomed a new administrative staff member to Public Works Department at the beginning of March. This addition is expected to improve internal coordination and strengthen communication with residents, allowing the department to respond more efficiently to requests and priorities. Looking ahead, we are approaching the time of year when the street cleaner will begin its rounds. I'd like to remind residents to pay close attention to posted parking restrictions so these operations can be carried out effectively and without delay. Je tiens également à souligner un changement provenant de la Ville de Montréal. En raison de contraintes budgétaires, la collecte annuelle des résidus domestiques dangereux ne sera plus offerte localement de la même façon. Nous vous invitons donc les résidents à continuer d'en disposer d'une manière responsable en les apportant gratuitement à l'écocentre le plus près. In terms of economic development, I had the opportunity to attend my first meeting as member of the board of directors at PME Montréal-Ouest. This new role has been very enlightening, and I'm pleased to bring the perspective of Montreal-West to the table as we explore new ways to better support our local business community. J'ai également eu l'occasion d'échanger avec un de leurs directrices et de faire une courte visite de notre artère commerciale principale. Ensemble, nous avons rencontré quelques commerçants intéressés à moderniser leurs enseignes et leurs façades, ce qui représente un potentiel intéressant pour dynamiser le secteur. I have also been encouraged by the strong response to the Westminster Revitalization Committee. We receive more interest from residents than expected, which is a positive sign of community engagement. La prochaine étape consistera à structurer cette participation, possiblement par l'entremise d'un sous-comité, afin de recueillir les idées de manière efficace et de progresser de façon constructive et organisée. As always, my focus remains on accessibility and transparency and practical action. If you have any questions, concerns, or ideas, I encourage you to reach out to me anytime. Thank you. Merci.
Thank you very much, Councillor Tassé. Now reporting from seat number 4, Councillor Philippe Bergeron.
Dear neighbors and residents of Montreal-West, spring is upon us. I hope street cleaning will begin April 1st, which leads me to remind everyone of return of the seasonal parking restrictions on certain public streets. The restrictions are from April 1st to November 15th, Please be mindful not to park during those restrictions to allow our blue-collar workers to access and properly clean our streets. In addition, nobody wants to get a ticket. Cela m'amène à parler du nettoyage du printemps des propriétés privées. Il est interdit de déposer, de jeter ou de souffler des détritus sur le domaine public. Electric blowers are allowed during the period of April 15th to May 1st. No gas blowers are allowed on the territory of Montréal-Ouest, which includes private contractors. Please make sure that your landscaper contractor, if you're using one, is registered with the town for the 2026 season as the homeowner can be held liable for any infractions committed by such contractor. Notre équipe d'agents de sécurité a dressé un inventaire de tous les lampadaires hors service dans la ville et a transmis cette liste au service des travaux publics afin d'y remédier. The town has very recently been informed by the City of Montreal regarding work that will be starting in September at Elmhurst and Harley. The town will be analyzing the project and will be following up with the population of Montreal-West regarding the project. Regarding sports, the Sports and Recreation Department, I would like to welcome the newly hired employee, Isabella Poliziani. She was responsible for the senior St. Patrick Lunch and the Children's Cottontail event this month. By the look of everyone's face, I would say that the event was greatly appreciated. Congrats to Isabella and the rec department team for all the good work. And also a big thank you for Nick for his hard work in the kitchen. I only have one complaint. There wasn't enough salt.
It was for the seniors, Phil.
Yeah. The 2026 summer pool registration is now open. I welcome everyone back, young and old, to experience our new pool and all its programming. I am excited to announce that the town has created 2 new youth programs starting this season, artistic swimming and water polo. Veuillez noter qu'un tournage est en cours dans notre nouveau centre de loisirs qui sert de décor. Le prochain tournage aura lieu du 10 au 13 avril. Le centre de loisirs reste ouvert au public, mais prévoyez un peu plus de temps pour vous stationner. The new rec center will be opening more time slots during the spring for pickup hockey and free skate. The town will also be offering drop-in pickleball, badminton, and basketball time slots. Please see the town's website in the coming weeks. Lastly, many of our town's children play hockey via our local teams, the Wings, the Knights, and the North Stars. Many had their end-of-season regional championship the last couple of weekends. Congrats to all of them for a successful season, and good luck to the others that continue their season at provincials. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Bergeron. Now we're up to point 8, first public question period. Première période de questions. Donc là, de cette première période, nous répondrons aux questions de la salle pendant un maximum de 25 minutes. Nous le limiterons à 2 questions par personne, un court préambule, votre première question et une question de suivi si vous le souhaitez. Il s'agit d'une période de questions et non d'une période de débat. Après les questions de la salle, nous répondrons aux questions des résidents qui avaient été soumises en ligne aujourd'hui jusqu'à 14 heures, sur n'importe quel sujet. Les mêmes règles s'appliquent, 25 minutes au total et 2 questions par personne maximum. Lors de la deuxième période de questions, nous répondrons aux questions relatives à l'ordre du jour soumises via notre site Internet lors de cette réunion. Nous limiterons cette période à 10 minutes en salle et 10 minutes en ligne. At our first question period, we will answer questions from the floor for a maximum of 25 minutes. We will limit it to 2 questions per person, a short preamble, your first question, and a follow-up question if you want. It is a question period, not a debate period. After the questions from the floor, we will answer questions from the resident that had been submitted online until 2 p.m. today on any topic. The same rules apply, 25 minutes total, and 2 questions per person maximum. In the second question period, we will take questions pertaining to the agenda submitted via our website during this meeting. We will limit it to 10 minutes from the floor and 10 minutes online. So the floor is yours.
Good evening. My name is Christopher Smith. I live at 37 Westminster South. I've been coaching baseball for a total of about 6 years. This will be my 3rd season with our local baseball team, the Mud Hens. Just as a little bit of personal pretext, for the past 5 years, our baseball committee has struggled to find our Mud Hens, our local baseball team, a home field, often looking to Hampstead or Côte St. Luc for our home games. Now, since the pandemic, the Diamond on Percival has not met playable standards for games for specifically 11U and 13U teams. However, with a bit of dedicated maintenance, as well as some fixtures customary to a youth baseball field, parents and kids of Montreal-West can have a home field to call their own. So my question for council members this evening is, why don't Mo-Westers have a playable field for our youth baseball teams? Thank you.
Hi, Mr. Smith. It's a very good question. I think the baseball field has been taking a back seat because of the new rec center.
Sure.
We also impeded on there because of the new parking lot that's there. It is in our project in the next coming years, and if not this season, to trying to modernize or make it a little bit better playable for our kids to play there. It is a field that we consider keeping, and we do want our kids to play baseball, and we want the Mud Hens are part of the CRA, and we want the CRA to be successful.
Sure.
So absolutely, we're looking into it, and I do want to make it accessible. I've played baseball for 18 years when I was growing up.
Fantastic.
If I can just add a little detail, the field where we play baseball belongs to the EMSB, so we must continue to negotiate with them, especially if we want to put money in it and invest to make it a more playable field. So that's on our task plate also.
With, sorry, just I guess a follow-up to that, has the EMSB been receptive specifically for that field in having the town, the community, come together to bring it to a point where it's a viable home field?
Well, we didn't have that discussion with them so far. We know that they don't have any, I would say, project to redevelop or take back the land, but we must start that discussion with them for sure.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hi there. Well, my original question's out the window. So much good news tonight. Thank you so much for installing the sign. I saw that on my way here. Thank you also for the great news about the crossing guard. That is unexpected, but very, very great news for us. And thank you also for the news about the engineering firm that was engaged to look at that corner. Is there any idea of the timeline of when they will get started on their work, or when they might have a report?
You're welcome, and you're welcome, and you're welcome.
Thank you.
Joanna, great question. We're hoping to have more follow-up, more information next month with regards to the analysis.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you all again.
Thank you.
Really
Pleasure.
appreciate it.
Hello, good evening, Julie Tasker-Brown. First of all, I want to congratulate everybody. It's the first time I've had a chance to do that, and thank you for your service to the town. Very quick question. One of the things, and it actually doesn't have to do with Montreal-West, it's more about the greater Montreal area. Something that really bothers me in this city, and I love our city, is graffiti. And it seems to proliferate more and more each year. I actually get angry as I drive through our city. And I'm wondering, either through the agglomeration council or as a citizen, which would be the best venue in order to try to lodge a complaint about it? And also I wanted to know, on the agglomeration council, is this something that is discussed as an issue to address, given that there's a new council in the city of Montreal?
Yes, hi, Mrs. Brown. Well, the answer is yes, and there's a resident of Montreal, I don't know where exactly, but who asked the same question at the Aglo Council last week. So that's a topic of interest, I would say, for residents. And they normally each borough has a program to remove the graffitis. Usually you need to submit a request online saying where's the graffiti, when was it made, and then usually there's a follow-up by the different boroughs. But you can absolutely come in person or write a question online at the next Aglo Council. There's once once a month. Usually it's the last or second last Thursday of every month.
So is that the best venue or avenue to ask a question to the Agglomeration Council, or?
Well, when you ask a council, a question to a council, it's more public, I would say. But there's also the administrative way that is also, I would say, relevant. Yeah, if you have, a specific borough in mind, or, yeah. Okay, thank you.
Greetings to the table, to the mayor and the councillor. My name is Giselle Chatat. I moved to Montréal-Ouest in 2020. I'm speaking in English. I'm more comfortable in French, but I'll speak in English because
Vous pouvez parler en français. Hein. Vous pouvez parler en
oui,
français.
parce que non, je veux que mon voisin,
Ok.
qui est moins apte,
Ok.
comprenne ce que je dis
Ok.
en anglais. Donc, voilà. I moved here in 2020, and I moved into this beautiful Montréal-Ouest area. And I was very happy. I have my neighbor here, and he's here to kind of support what I'm going to express. I was a little bit nervous because I didn't know. He encouraged me to come. He's an owner. I'm a tenant. And my friend, my neighbor, is also a tenant. I decided to be a tenant. I moved with my husband. We wanted to be a tenant to make sure that we like the area and then whether or not we want to buy. So we became a tenant. But this has been a very traumatic experience for us, unfortunately. I just wanted to, the reason why I'm here is because I know most people in Montréal-Ouest are landlords, right? But there are few people like myself and Assad who are tenants. And when we run into problems, I have the feeling that we're not taken seriously, or maybe our problem doesn't matter. I'll explain why. And I know this is not the TAL, this is not the tribunal. I'm not expecting you to tell me that I'm wrong or the landlord is wrong. No, I'm here to let you know that the part of responsibility that the city has for tenants should be enforced. For example, I had few problems with the landlord, and I did what I needed to do. I called the inspector. The inspector came and noticed the problem, and but I noticed that it's not being followed up. Like, for example, the landlord has 10 days to do certain things, and he doesn't do it, and nothing happens to him. Even to get my report so that I can go to court and argue my case, I wasn't getting anywhere. It's just recently. The first complaint was in 2021. And I asked for a report in 2022, no answer, not even an acknowledgement. Thanks to the greffier. The greffier, I had to contact him, and he sent it to me a few days ago, maybe less than 10 days ago. From 2022, I've been in court. I have not been able to argue my case. The case has been renvoyé because I didn't have this paper. So I just wanted to bring into your attention the fact that there are tenants in this community, and that the city should be doing what they're supposed to do for the tenants by making sure that the inspector follows through. Because if he was following through on what he's writing in his report, maybe the landlord will be less inclined to abuse the tenant the way we've been abused, Assad and I.
Okay.
And this is the landlord. He's my next door neighbor. I don't know what he's going to tell you, but I can tell you that it's not funny. We've been traumatized, and every year the rent keeps increasing, but nothing is being done.
Okay, so we don't necessarily know the details of your situation. Do you have any questions for the council?
It's more like an awareness. Awareness to let you know that there are tenants in the community and that they should be better taken care of. Like as far as your bylaws with the inspections and the follow-up. If the landlord is wrong, it should be enforced so that it will discourage them from abusing their tenants.
Perfect.
We absolutely, because of the neighborhood and because of the way the people have treated us, we decided to stay, but otherwise we would have run away.
Okay, so please make sure that you submit your requests or questions or opinion to the town so we can know exactly what is the situation. Okay.
Yes, I will.
Okay. Merci.
Hello, my name is Luigi Torchia. I live and own the house at 46 Promenade Ronald. And the owner of the house next door doesn't keep the house in order. And now, because of that, there's cockroaches next door. I'm scared that they're going to invade my house, and not because of any issue I have. And also, in the fall, the driveway is full of leaves, and I sweep and clean my driveway without exaggeration every day, sometimes twice a day if it's windy, and he doesn't have no respect or courtesy for anybody there. And now, because of the cockroaches, I'm worried because my house is clean. I invite any inspector the town wants to send to inspect the outside and the inside of my house to see how I keep it. And my house, I have to say, I am proud the way I keep it. And the guy that owns their house where they live has no respect for the tenants and for myself, and I guess for anybody else that lives there. And now I'm scared of the cockroaches. They have mice over there. And also, he made a small apartment in the basement, and he rents it all the time, which I know is illegal in the province of Quebec, to rent it week by week, I guess, or month by month, because every time I'm outside, there's new people going in and out. And not long ago, the SPVM was there, and they showed up with 2 or 3 police cars, so something was going on there. The town should look into that, you know? And because of the mice, the rats, the cockroaches, and now the SPVM, like I said, was a month ago, was involved. They had like 3 police cars or 4 police cars. We don't know what's going on there. And I know that's illegal in the province of Quebec to rent out your dwelling by week, by month, by day. I don't know what he does, but there's always new people there. Male, female, white or black. I don't know who they are. I don't know what's going on there. And then when the SPVM gets involved, I think we're getting serious here.
Could I just ask you a bit of a precision on your renting it out? Are you saying that he's renting an Airbnb? Is that what I'm understanding?
Yes.
Okay, yes, because there
And
is a
it's always
bylaw that's
somebody
illegal.
different. I never know who it is.
Okay, thank you for.
I just wanted to say, the issue with the leaves in the fall, I brought it to the attention of Jimmy, who's with the security. I don't know how far it went with that, but, you know, and like I said, I'm sweeping up every day, sometimes twice a day. He doesn't give a hoot. It's a mess. Now they have cockroaches next door. I'm scared that they're going to invade into my house. There's mice. And like I said, a while back recently, the SPVM showed up there at night. I don't know what happened in that basement apartment, and he's renting it out all the time to new people. You don't know who it is. It's like Walmart there. People going in and out of there. That's illegal. I don't know who to contact or what to say, but I'm bringing it to your attention, Mr.
You are
Mayor.
correct. There is a bylaw that exists that it's illegal to have an Airbnb in the town of Montreal-West. So certainly that's something that we now have on file with the clerk, and we would be able to follow up because yes, it is absolutely illegal. The bylaw is very clear that you cannot have an Airbnb within the town.
And when the SPVM shows up with 3 or 4 police cars, I'm sure there's something serious there. I don't know who's there.
Okay.
I'm worried. They can break into my car, into my house. They can do anything. I don't know who it is.
Thank
You
you.
know, so I'm bringing it to your attention, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much.
I don't know how far I should go with this. And now because of the cockroaches and the mice and whatever, and
Well,
it's a mess. Speak to them. They're my witness.
Yeah.
They're
Well, thank
here.
you for. We're very sorry about the situation. Thank you for informing us.
Thank you.
We'll investigate, and we'll make a follow up on this.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Emily. I'm a new resident to Montreal-West, and this is my first town council, so thank you for
Welcome.
all you do. I was just wondering, when it comes to potholes and repairing them, how do they get prioritized with the council?
Oh, and can I just ask you to give your address, please?
Sure.
If you'd be able to give your
12
address.
Rennie.
Sorry?
12 Rennie.
Okay, thank you.
Am I allowed to ask a question?
No. Just, I'm new at this too, so I'm trying to, the public works kind of goes around and they decide what takes priority. I mean, we got to work in the limited window the weather gives us at the present moment, and then when spring comes along, we start cleaning up, and then we find room for more major repairs. But at the moment, it's just, it's their decision on the spot with the tools and the resources they have in the moment.
Okay.
So,
Can I ask a follow-up to that?
absolutely.
So I'm sure, I mean, Ainsley's right there, and it's
Yeah,
kind of...
we're well aware of Ainsley, yes.
Okay, and,
Yeah,
and I assume that that will be one of the priorities this spring?
I could tell you it's, you know, it's up there on the list. I can't tell you when it'll get done, but yeah, it's of significant importance to look at.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, if I could just add as well, we do have the forms online. So if you do see a pothole, it does help the town if we don't always have
If we
eyes
fill that
everywhere,
out.
the
Yeah.
residents. So if you go online,
Okay.
you could fill out a Public Works form online, and then we'll be able to record it officially, and then it's in the system, and we know if we get several complaints, that it could be investigated.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Cynthia Nichols, 25 Westminster South. I'm going to, it's what I do, contention, I guess. It has to do with the public funding of various different institutions and the public not being allowed to participate in these gatherings. For example, the library, the gathering that was held for the former council. And it just so happened I was just walking by, and I believe I was told that it was a private gathering at the library. I'd like to know, was there, I don't know, some sort of rental of the library space, or was that public funding dismissing the public? And as you all know, I mean, taxes they're very steep here. And to not be allowed to go to a library that I've been promoting for the past 15 years or whatever seems very, very strange to me. There's that. So the other question, public funding, I believe we need to have a facility or bathroom facilities at the library. I don't know whether the town wants to take on that aspect of it, but no one should be turned away from using the bathroom after sitting and reading or doing research or whatever. They should not be running to the local cafe, especially since Patisserie de la Gare is no longer with us. So those are my two pet peeves right now, but I've got many. Thank you.
I can answer the first one. I believe the event you're referring took place a few weeks ago, and it was after the opening hours of the library. So the library was closed at this time, and it's they organize a few events a year, especially for their members or donors, or for this one, it was for two previous councillors who were really involved with the library over the years. So they didn't take any public money to organize this, nor they limit the opening hours for residents. So that's what I can say for this one. As for the washroom, you want to?
Well, we don't have that kind of jurisdiction over the library. It is its own entity. So that might be something to raise with them.
Yeah. It's also a question of money. They don't have enough money to maintain the toilet, you know. So it's very, unfortunately, technical and financial reason there. But the people at the library can't and don't want to take that responsibility. So.
Well, I'm just going to rebut that. When certain groups are meeting, the bathroom is available to the groups. But if you're sitting in the back, or one of the children from the high school or whatever, who wants to use the bathroom, they cannot, but the group that's sitting and knitting. You see, it's all about the public funding. And I have a hard time paying these taxes
No,
and then being told that this child can't go to the bathroom, or this older woman has to go down to
Yeah, Ms. Nichols, I note your frustration, but it is a grant that the town does provide. Yes, it is a grant. But with that said, as Councillor Slocum had mentioned, it is a separate entity and functions separate from the town. The town doesn't have the ability to tell the library what they can and cannot do, but I think it would be a good suggestion. It would be a good suggestion for you to go in and say perhaps it's something that they can look at, but as a grant that we do provide, like,
Stipulated in the grant, as most grants have stipulations of some sort. And I believe that if it's public funding, then it should be a public facility available as well.
I just think in their day-to-day operations that they have the ability to operate as they wish, but I, again, note your frustration. I think it would be a good thing to bring forward to them. And again, I don't know their bathroom. I'm assuming if their bathroom ends up a public bathroom, you have people going in and out, and it could cause issues with the bathroom, and it could cost a lot of money to have to fix that. So if it's deemed a public bathroom, like for instance, if you go to a number of places, you know, you can have issues. So I don't think it could be deemed a public bathroom.
Only a selected group.
There's no public bathroom at the library.
No.
I've been a member since 1996, 97.
Okay. Thank you, Mrs. Nichol.
So that's what I'm saying.
Thank you.
Selected group of people.
Yeah, thank you.
That's unfair.
Yeah.
And public money and a grant.
Thank you.
You know who I am? You know who I am, so I'm going to...
No, you still, if you could still state your name and your address for the record, though, please.
Why?
Because the greffier has to count for your name and your address, please.
Louise Chenevert,
Thank you.
61 Northview. It's on principle. I debated whether I was going to return to offer my perspective on the matter of minutes of last month. I'm here for all residents present and for those on Zoom, as well as all the readership of the Suburban newspaper. First part, preamble. I'm going to read this because it'll be faster. I was on the board of a nonprofit organization with president, vice president, secretary, and treasurer. It was understood that the person who writes the minutes is a secretary. In another organization where no one really wished to write up the minutes every month, the members took turns to perform the monthly duty. In this case, who wrote the minutes is a legitimate question. I would like to share a fictional example. A member of a group misses a meeting, reads the minutes, finds an error of a reimbursement of $2,000. The member brings it up to the following meeting and then asks who wrote up the minutes. Then ask, what was this large expense? The person replies, oopsie, my bad. That was supposed to be $20, too many zeros, sorry about that, my mistake. Okay? Everyone laughs and fumbles, may I make a change? The minutes taker asks, then the vote obviously carries unanimously that obviously there was a legitimate mistake. Okay? So I'm writing up a sequence of steps. 1, member of a group reads minutes. 2, member finds date or amount of error or typo or a misquote. 3, member highlights at the following meeting. 4, minute taker acknowledges the error. 5, minute taker thanks the person for presenting the error. 6, minute taker apologizes to the member if it applies to them, and then to the group. 7, minute taker asks group permission to make the change. 8, group votes on change, and 9, correction is made.
Sorry. Do you have a question, Mr.
Yes,
Chenevert?
I do. This is a simple administrative procedure. It is not a judgment with intent to embarrass or humiliate. Just a simple question. We're human beings and we all make mistakes. Question. My question to February 23rd, which remains unanswered, who wrote the minutes of the council meeting of January 26th so I can address that appropriate person?
It's the clerk who writes the minutes.
Yes, I found that out because I printed out the minutes. It says, Claude Gilbert, town clerk, acted as secretary of the meeting.
Yes. Do you have a follow-up question, or that's it?
Hmm? I'm going to continue.
You-
I'm going to continue.
Your preamble
I was very uncomfortable doing this. I was very uncomfortable last month. And then there's a 2-page article on me in the Suburban. I have the right to say my piece.
Well, now you have to ask a follow-up question. Your preamble is over
Okay,
now.
why can't that person respond and be honest and transparent and say, I wrote up the minutes? Question.
Well, because he's not an elected official, and you're asking the question
No,
to the
but-
town council, and we are
Who-
responding to your question.
You didn't answer who wrote up the minutes last month.
Last month, it's always the clerk who writes the minutes.
Okay, well, that.
And
you've
you
answered
you
that.
had the answer on your paper. You read it also.
Well, I found it today, so. Okay,
Do you have a follow-up question?
yes. Well, I'm asking for an apology. Because I presented a few errors, errors that there was misquoted on my behalf. I didn't receive an apology, I received an argument. I received, yes, but minutes are too long, and minutes, are not very important when it concerns the question period of citizens. Okay?
But
So I didn't get an apology for the error that was made. So I would like to have an apology, please.
Well, I can answer on behalf of the clerk that we're sorry for that mistake, and that we made the revision, and then we'll make sure that this doesn't happen again.
Okay, well, it's just an obvious thing.
Yep.
You apologize. You don't go off on a tangent and say, yes, but, well, minutes take too long to write up.
Understood.
And then this gentleman over here, Mr. Joel Goldberg, writes 2-page article on me in the Gazette and the Suburban. Okay, I'm not comfortable with that because it wasn't the point I was making. I just brought up an error and I wanted it corrected.
Right. And
Okay, I didn't need to have my integrity questioned publicly because he goes on to say, well, she's been an advocate. What's that mean?
Okay. Well,
Like a
we're not going
provoker?
to have a discussion between a resident and the journalists of the Suburban. I mean, you can talk with Joel after the meeting if you want. We'll finish the floor question here because we have questions online and we need to answer too. Wait, and just again a precision: we don't write verbatims. We don't write word to word. Everything that all residents ask is just a resume.
That's not the point of my thing.
I know, but I'm just
My
saying.
point
I'm just saying this also.
was, I presented an error, and I got an argument.
Yes.
And it wasn't just an error of a date or an amount. It was a quote that I didn't say. It just happened to be about chimney use, and I live in a duplex, and it doesn't really matter to me. But the point is, if somebody else says something and they were misquoted, it needs to be corrected.
Yes.
And it
we agree.
needs to be acknowledged, and an apology must be made.
Yeah, which I made a few minutes ago.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to.
Thank you very much. Any other questions from the floor? No, so we'll move to online questions. First questions from Valmar Kurol, 63 Courtney Drive.
Hi, Council. I walk on Westminster Avenue past the Easton Project almost every day and see lots of cars. Lots of cars parked alongside it on Westminster. Some of these parked cars make turning and passage going north from Avon tricky. Is there any thought given to making Westminster along the Easton a no parking and no stopping zone? Good question, Mrs. Kuro. Parking will continue to be permitted in front of the Easton development. We are waiting for the developer to complete work on Westminster South, which is the second layer of pavement, before we can mark the area and improve safety there.
Thank you. Second question from Laura Vaughn, 323 Westminster.
Hello, this is a follow-up of my question from last meeting about changing the no parking signs on Westminster North to match other streets in Montreal-West. Parking near my home on Westminster has become impossible, mostly due to signs stating no parking on one side of the road each day. But I wonder if someone can look into the necessity of the long yellow no parking lines on the sidewalk of Westminster North and Northview. It's room enough for 2 cars to parking on each side, and Northview has not been a two-way street for many years. Thanks. Mrs. Watt, very good question. We will be reviewing a parking strategy in all areas of the city as part of the regulatory overhaul that will begin this year. I'm sorry to say that no changes is coming in a very short term. The review of parking restriction is in our pipeline, and we will have, with all of the other topics, we will try our best to get it done by the end of the year of 2026.
Thank you. Next question from Merle McPhail, 8023 Avon.
Is there any way the crosswalk at Westminster and Avon walking light be extended to 30 seconds to allow kids and the elderly cross in a safe manner? The current status of that crosswalk is 25 seconds. It's a very good question. Thank you, Mrs. McPhail. We're going to study it, and it's complex because every time we change something, we have to get outside consultants to actually do the change. We don't have that personnel in-house, and so we will look at it. That's very good.
A second question from the same person.
Tempos for driveways not visible from the road. I believe Côte St. Luc has a bylaw where residents over 70 can have a tempo for a fee. Why can we not have something like this here? Elder-friendly community. So tempos have not been allowed in Montreal-Ouest, but we are definitely always looking at ways to make the town more accessible and friendly to our seniors. So we appreciate the comment and the suggestion. Thank you.
Perfect. Next question from Jen Soley, 205 Bedrock Avenue.
What is the ETA for clearing the construction debris and temporary fencing from the field beside the rec center? There are rocks and nails on the grass outside the fencing on the south end of the field. Will a cleanup be organized by the city? Well, thank you very much, Mrs. Soley, for bringing this to our attention. We've already notified the people that should be looking into this, and they will make a look around right before. But until Sajo is finishing their final steps of the rec center, and with the spring and fall, anything within the fence we won't be touching, and anything outside the fence we will be responsible for. Thank you.
Okay, next question from Robert Barnes, 227 Bedbrook.
Thank you for making safe, active transportation a priority for this new municipal administration. Do you foresee Bixie stations and marked bicycle paths, hopefully integrating the existing Fielding, Devil's Hill, and Coffee paths appearing in Montreal-Ouest for the 2026 season? We are currently reviewing where Bixie stations can be implemented within the city to maximize usage, minimize installation costs, no conflict for parking and traffic. It's a little too soon for council or the town to pronounce itself on exactly where these stations will be, but we're working on it. It's going to be very short term. Regardless of the bike paths, we are working with the master bike plan of the City of Montreal, and because of the work that's going to be doing on Harley and Elmhurst, we're looking into getting that connection. Yes, we're very pro bike, we're very pro safety, and it's something that we're looking into it. Thank you.
Thank you. Question from Aaron Knowles, 256 Percival Avenue. When will the parking lot in the field behind EMSB be dismantled, as was promised, now that the rec center construction is complete? Hello, Mr. Knowles. Thank you for your question. The council is currently considering the entire area surrounding the rec center, including parking, the pedestrian and cycling experience, and the sports facility. We are looking at options to maintain an adequate ratio of parking space for employees while preserving the green space used as a baseball field. The next question is from Peter Cooney, 101 Brock South.
Thank you. First of all, I think there is a typo in allowing parking from Saturday, April 1st. Yes, there is a typo. If I had my calendar open, it is Wednesday, April 1st, all the way to the Friday, April 9th or 10th. Thank you. Also, why are so many cars allowed to park on both sides of Avon east of Brock South? Well, that territory is not ours. That becomes Saint-Jacques, and we have no control of what the City of Montreal allows on their streets, their domain. Next question is, someone told me it used it used to be, someone told me it used to City of Montreal property. Well, that portion of east of Brock South is the City of Montreal. And does the apartment building pay City of Montreal taxes? I don't know the apartment building that you're referring, but I think it's the one at the corner of Avon and Brock, corner north and east. And I do believe that building is in Montreal-West, and they are paying Montreal-West taxes. Thank you. And that's the last question.
OK, donc ceci conclut la première période de questions à 21h07. Passons maintenant au point numéro 9, Contracts and Towns Clerk Office, Congrès 2026, élus municipaux.
Merci, Monsieur le maire. Je propose que les membres du conseil désignés ci-après soient autorisés à représenter la ville de Montréal-Ouest auprès des instances suivantes et à participer aux activités. Monsieur le maire Jonathan Shaw et Madame la conseillère Lauren Small-Pennyfather, Union des municipalités du Québec, Centre des congrès du Québec, le 13 mai au 15 mai. Et aussi, Monsieur le maire Jonathan Shaw et Monsieur le conseiller Nick Tassé, Fédération canadienne des municipalités, à Edmonton Convention Center, Edmonton, Alberta, du 4 juin au 7 juin.
Je l'appuie.
Tous en faveur, all in favor?
Oui.
B, continuation of the proceedings filed by bilingual municipalities challenging certain provision of Bill 96.
Whereas the Town of Montreal-West agreed by virtue of Resolution Number 2024-0424-004 to join as co-plaintiff in a legal action contesting provisions of Chapter 14 of the Statutes of Quebec of 2022, Bill 96, and agrees to reiterate the mandate of the law firm Gray Casgrain, SENC. Whereas the town agrees to share the legal fees and costs with the other co-plaintiffs on a pro rata basis established on the basis of population, is being understood that said fees are coordinated by the City of Côte-Saint-Luc and paid at the end of each quarter. I move that 1, that Municipal Council confirm the mandate given to the law firm Gray Casgrain, SENC, to represent the town of Montreal-West in its application before the Superior Court to contest certain provisions of Law 96 which affects the rights and obligations of bilingual municipalities. 2, that the town of Montreal-West undertake to share the legal fees and costs with the other co-plaintiffs on a pro rata basis based on the relative size of its population. 3, that expenditure not exceeding $1 per resident be reserved by each of the co-plaintiff municipalities for all necessary expenses to this end to cover the application and pleadings of said proceedings before the Superior Court. And 4, that the City of Côte-Saint-Luc receive the payments for the law firm Gray Casgrain for all legal fees from all municipalities involved in this action.
I second the motion.
Tous en faveur, all in favor?
Yes.
C, demande à Hydro-Québec suite à une panne de courant majeure.
Attendu que le 27 janvier 2026 à 10h37, un bris d'équipement au poste de distribution électrique Amstead appartenant à Hydro-Québec a causé une panne électrique majeure dans le secteur nord de la ville de Montréal-Ouest, privant plusieurs ménages d'électricité pendant plus de 24 heures alors que les conditions météorologiques accusaient un froid extrême prolongé. Attendu que des mesures d'urgence ont été déployées par le Centre de coordination des mesures d'urgence de l'agglomération de Montréal et la ville de Montréal-Ouest pour faire face aux risques à la sécurité des personnes en tenant compte d'informations transmises par Hydro-Québec les 24 et 25 janvier 2026. Attendu que le 5 février, Hydro-Québec a annoncé le lancement de la construction du poste électrique de Côte-Saint-Luc qui, à terme, devrait améliorer la qualité du service et augmenter la capacité du réseau, notamment dans la ville de Montréal-Ouest. Attendu que le 9 février, les élus de la ville de Montréal-Ouest ont tenu une séance d'information publique pour faire état de leur rétrospection relative à la prise de charge des mesures d'urgence par l'ensemble des parties prenantes concernées durant les dits événements. Attendu que la planification et la réalisation rapide des infrastructures énergétiques stratégiques sont essentielles pour assurer la résilience urbaine dans un contexte de changement climatique et d'augmentation de la demande énergétique. Attendu que des rencontres post-mortem sur cette panne de courant se sont tenues les 2 et 27 février 2026 en présence notamment des maires des villes de Montréal-Ouest, Côte-Saint-Luc, Hampstead et Côte-des-Neiges, Notre-Dame-des-Grâces, d'élus provinciaux et de représentants d'Hydro-Québec, lors desquels il a été discuté des causes, conséquences et des solutions à envisager lors des futures pannes électriques. Je propose que la Ville de Montréal-Ouest demande à Hydro-Québec de tenir une assemblée publique post-mortem auprès de la population d'ici juin 2026. Que la Ville de Montréal-Ouest collabore avec Hydro-Québec afin d'établir un plan de communication précis lors de futures pannes d'électrique prolongées, incluant le partage d'informations en temps réel afin de fournir aux résidents des informations justes et à jour, ainsi que de permettre de déployer les ressources municipales nécessaires à leur accompagnement, le cas échéant. Que la Ville de Montréal-Ouest demande à Hydro-Québec d'accélérer l'échéancier des travaux liés au renforcement du réseau électrique desservant le territoire de la Ville, incluant le nouveau poste de Côte-Saint-Luc, afin que les investissements nécessaires soient déployés dans les plus brefs délais. Que la Ville de Montréal-Ouest réitère sa volonté de collaborer pleinement avec Hydro-Québec afin de faciliter toute démarche nécessaire à l'avancement rapide de ces travaux sur son territoire.
Je le seconde.
Tous en faveur, all in favor?
Oui.
Point numéro 10, Administration and Finance. A, approval of disbursement, February 21st to March 27, 2026.
I move that the list of accounts payable from February 21st to March 27th, 2026, totaling $5,504,180.99, and payroll in the amount of $321,203.40, period 8 to 12, be approved and paid.
Je l'appuie.
Tous en faveur, all in favor?
Yes.
Oui.
Yes. Aye.
B, demande de subvention, programme d'accompagnement en loisirs de l'île de Montréal, PALIM.
Attendu que le PALIM vise à favoriser l'accessibilité aux loisirs pour les personnes ayant une limitation fonctionnelle, notamment en défrayant une partie des salaires des accompagnateurs. Attendu que le PALIM offre des subventions afin d'assurer aux enfants nécessitant un soutien accru ainsi qu'à leur famille un accompagnement individualisé leur permettant d'avoir accès aux services du camp de jour. Je propose, Monsieur le maire, que la Ville de Montréal-Ouest dépose une demande de subvention au programme d'accompagner en loisirs de l'île de Montréal, le PALIM. Numéro 2, que Mme Marianne Scully, directrice adjointe du service des loisirs et de la culture, soit autorisée à signer pour et au nom de la Ville de Montréal-Ouest la demande de subvention, toute entente découlant d'un octroi, ainsi que tout autre document requis pour le dépôt et pour le suivi administratif et technique du dossier.
Je l'appuie.
Tous en faveur, all in favor?
Oui.
Merci. C, art, etc.
I move that council agree to rent the Assembly Hall on the occasion of the Arts and Craft Fair that will take place during 3 days in November 2026 for a bulk discount amount of $3,698.50, taxes included, plus a fee of $114.98, taxes included, for assigned space and a reimbursable deposit of $500 to secure the reservation, in consideration of a total of 22 hours of rental for the event, setup, and cleanup, and to keep the other terms and conditions of the previous agreement in effect. 2, that the deposit and an advance payment of $500 on the rental amount be payable upon the signing of the agreement, followed by a payment of $1,349.25 no later than May 1st, 2026, and the balance of $1,849.25 plus the fee for assigned space to be paid no later than August 1st, 2026.
I second the motion.
Tous en faveur, all in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
D, transfert budgétaire, élection.
Attendu qu'il est estimé qu'un montant budgétaire de 135 000 sera requis pour couvrir les dépenses liées aux élections de 2029. Je propose que le montant annuel de 33 694,50 $ provenant de surplus libre poste 55-991-00-000 soit transféré au surplus affecté poste 55-992-00-00 et dédié aux prochaines élections en 2026, 2027, 2028 et 2029.
Je l'appuie.
Tous en faveur, en favor?
Oui.
Oui.
11, Urban Department, A, Site Planning Projects and Architectural Integration Program, SPAIP, March 25th, 2026.
I move to acknowledge receipt of the minutes of a meeting held by the Planning Advisory Committee, PAC, on March 25th, 2026. To approve as presented under the SPAIP, the following plans submitted to this meeting in accordance with the recommendations of the PAC as outlined in the minutes. 29 Easton, replacement of 13 windows. 144 Broughton, replacement of 1 window. 28 Fairfield, replacement of the front door. 241 Strathern North, replacement of 5 windows, a door, and the cladding on the 1-story rear extension. 3, to approve with conditions under the SPAIP the following plans submitted to this meeting in accordance with the recommendations of the PAC as outlined in the minutes. 3038 Westminster North, installation of a commercial sign. 260 Ballantyne North, replacement of 12 windows. 230 Percival, replacement of a semi-detached garden shed in the backyard and the replacement of the front stairs, landing, railings, and columns. 4, to defer the examination of the following plans to the next meeting of this council in accordance with the recommendations of the PAC as outlined in the minutes. 8,101 Montreal, Toronto, demolition of the existing building and construction of a new building.
I move that to approve the conditions under the SPAIP, the following plans in accordance with the recommendations of the PAC as outlined in the minutes of its meeting on February 18th, 2026. 251 Percival, reconstruction of the front porch, front stairs, and railings.
Oui, il faut juste adopter la précédente. Là. On a juste besoin d'un secondaire pour le point A.
Je le seconde.
OK. Tous en faveur?
Oui.
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 OK. Très bien. OK.
Okay, so I'll repeat it one more time. So B, Site Planning Products and Architectural Integration Programs, SPAIP, February 18th, 2026. I move to approve the conditions under the SPAIP, the following plans in accordance with the recommendations of the PAC as outlined in the minutes of its meeting on February 18th, 2026. 251 Percival, reconstruction of the front porch, front stairs, and railings.
I second the motion.
Tous en faveur, en favor?
No.
Oui.
Cool. Oui. OK. Il faudrait juste noter ceux qui sont contre. Philippe Bergeron. Oui. Yeah, I'm voting yes. En faveur, in favor, yeah. Merci. OK. Point 12, Public Works. A, awarding of contract, rental of street sweeper with operator.
Whereas the town of Montreal-West issued a call for tenders for the purpose of awarding a rental contract for a street sweeper with operator for the spring season, as well as for other work on a need basis until the end of the year. Whereas 6 contractors were invited, whereas 1 tender was received and assessed. Therefore, I move that 1, this rental contract be awarded to EMC Services Construction, being the lowest conforming bidder, for an estimated price of $73,000 plus taxes, based on an hourly rate of $250 plus taxes for spring cleaning and other work as requested. 2, that this expense be charged to budget code 02-320-01-515.
I second it.
Tous en faveur, en favor?
Oui.
Yes.
Oui. Yes.
B, City of Montreal, infrastructure work on Harley and Elmhurst.
Whereas the City of Montreal intends to award a contract for the rehabilitation of infrastructure on Elmhurst between Harley and Sherbrooke, and on Harley between Elmhurst and Brock South. whereas the work on Harley would entail encroaching on the side of Montreal-West for the purpose of paving work, sidewalk construction, and repair of a valve chamber, whereas the city is requesting the town's permission to this effect, it being understood that such work will be without cost for Montreal-West, whereas the town has considered the practical implications of this project, therefore I move that 1, the preamble of this resolution be an integral part thereof. 2, that the town of Montreal-West give the requested authorization to the City of Montreal following the work description found on Plan I-16152-MA-00_202600318.
I second it.
Tous en faveur, all in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
13, public security. A, emergency notification system replacement.
Whereas for several years, the town of Montreal-West has been using the services of Code Red, a platform owned and operated by a U.S.-based risk management company, Crisis 24, formerly OnSolve, that allows to deliver location-based public safety warnings. Whereas this kind of service was not available in the province at the time, but there are now at least 2 providers who have been invited to make service offers. Whereas it is deemed advisable to proceed with discontinuing the agreement in place and phase in a new system. Therefore, I move, Mr. Mayor, that the Director General be mandated to implement the orderly discontinuation of the service of Code Red and to introduce the new platform from Blanco on a yearly basis.
I second the motion.
Tous en faveur, all in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
15, deposit of documents. A, treasurer's report on the financing of municipal election expenses. The report of the treasurer on activities related to the financing of independent candidates and the control of election expenses was tabled with council. 16, notice of motion, reading and adoption of bylaws. A, adoption of bylaws number 405-42, bylaw amending traffic bylaw number 405.
Whereas a copy of the bylaw in draft version was previously tabled at council meeting when the notice of motion was given and made available in accordance with the law. Whereas the purpose and scope of this bylaw were summed up at the present meeting, therefore, Mr. Mayor, I move that the bylaw number 405-42 entitled Bylaw Amending Traffic Bylaw number 405 be adopted.
I second the motion.
Tous en faveur, all in favor?
Aye.
B, adoption of bylaw number 2026-005, bylaw amending bylaw number 2020-007, consolidating the bylaw concerning employees' pension plan for the town of Montreal-West.
Whereas a copy of this bylaw in draft version was previously tabled at a council meeting when the notice of motion was given and made available in accordance with the law. Whereas the purpose and scope of this bylaw were summed up at the present meeting, I move that bylaw number 2026-005 entitled Bylaw, amending bylaw number 202-007, consolidating the bylaw concerning employees' pension plan for the town of Montreal-West be adopted.
I second the motion.
Tous en faveur, all in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Aye.
Nous en sommes maintenant rendus à la deuxième période de questions. On va prendre les questions de la salle dans un premier temps. So questions from the floor first.
Or are we paying anything to bring Bixie in?
Yeah. Ben, Lauren, tu veux répondre?
Yeah, so we had, when we announced our budget in our 3-year plan, we did have an amount that we had allocated towards Bixie. So yes, there is a service amount that we have to pay for the installation, and then we will revisit it 3 years later to see what kind of benefits it brings to the town, as well as people transiting through the town, and then we'll be able to make a final decision at the time. So we did allot $25,000 per station per Bixie.
Is there any revenue sharing from the money that Bixie collects?
There is no revenue sharing.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bonsoir, Monsieur le Maire, Mesdames les conseillères, Monsieur les conseillers. Thank you for your service to the town. I have to say I have great admiration for your patience. My question relates to agenda item, my name, Kurt Johnson, address 251 Percival Avenue. And my question relates to that address, agenda item 12B1. If I can just get a precision from the town clerk, I didn't quite understand how the vote was recorded on that agenda item. Can you read that to me? Moi, je l'ai pas entendu. Very well, thank you. So just to explain my question, we've come to the unavoidable and inevitable impression and conclusion that all matters involving site planning and architectural integration program in this town have been delegated to the Planning Advisory Committee, the PAC. The PAC is a strictly advisory body made up of unelected officials, and so this concerns us. It concerns us in our case, as you all know. We made not one but two applications for the same project to the PAC, and in neither case did the PAC reach out to us in any manner to explain to us, one, the conditions that they were imposing on the acceptance of our application, or to explain in what manner the certain design features of the porch we had were not conforming to the bylaw. So this, for us, creates a bit of a democratic, Kafkaesque obstacle. We don't know where to go anymore. So the question I have, it's twofold. How are we to understand the rejection or the imposition of conditions on the acceptance of an application if that is indeed how site planning and architectural integration operates in the town? And secondly, how can we, the citizens, hold PAC accountable?
So, as you mentioned, PAC is an advisory body, and so the decision does ultimately come to council. So, in terms of holding them accountable, I mean, I believe that they provide the section of the bylaw under which they make their decision, and we as council answer for the final decision that's made.
So having the section of the bylaw is helpful, but what would be more helpful to the taxpayer is to understand in what manner we're not meeting the requirements of the bylaw. And that's where the PAC has not once but twice refused to give us any insight. So I just want to make council aware of that is how this unelected body is operating in the town. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Nathaniel Kirsch, 35 Westland. First of all, big fans. Really appreciate all of your unwavering patience. And I moved in August. I was born in Montreal-West, moved downtown, came back. Now I have a wife and newborn, so really thrilled to be part of Montreal-West. I've been attending a lot of the meetings here every month. It was either last month or the month before, somebody asked a question about the new bylaw coming in effect regarding fireplaces, and there'll be more information coming to light there. I'll say my question first so you know where I'm going with this, and then I'll give a little preamble. So the question is council open to amending the bylaws on the outright ban of fireplaces, wood-burning fireplaces, and the preamble that I just have in mind in light of kind of the confusion around the upcoming bylaws. This winter was crazy, huge power outages because of snow, and then an ice storm that luckily passed over Montreal-West, but it could have been very severe. So a lot of the residents who had fireplaces that were working were very happy to have those. It made me realize I should probably read that bylaw. I read the bylaw, and it really is an outright ban. It's to be commensurate with the rest of the city of Montreal, which is much denser than Montreal-West, but albeit it's completely in line, and it bans wood burning fireplaces. Doesn't allow for any EPA certified inserts. It just allows for a complete overhaul in pellets, which is not the same of energy generation that would happen in a power outage. So my question is council open to amending the bylaw to allow for something that could be very vital to be used within, for example, proper filters to reduce smog, perhaps to amend the bylaw so that it bans people completely fueling their entire house with wood, which shouldn't be the case anymore. We have electricity. And also, you know, as a new parent, I do kind of find it a little bit unfair that the previous generations were able to have a fire on Christmas or Hanukkah morning or night, and now it's just banned. So I completely understand the environmental angle of it. I know you guys are very environmentally progressive, and so am I, but I do understand that there is some reason to be had and maybe some leniency toward recreational fireplaces in a city as small as Montreal-West. So all I'm asking is, are you guys open to an amendment? Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead, Aaron. Yeah. Claude, because just a procedure question. This is the second question period, and this item is not on the agenda. So I'm not sure we can take that that question. But if I may answer very quickly, this was made under the previous administration with lots of arguments, especially from the environmental committee. So we will still, you know, have a look at the file, and yeah, maybe you can come back in the next meeting with the same question. And
I will. Sorry, I didn't know that. I didn't know the difference between the two. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
My name is Danny Holland, and I live at 251 Percival. I just want to clarify something. If we weren't given information from PAC explaining what design features don't correspond to the demands, did they share that with you? How did you come to that decision that you agree with them if you didn't have that information? Or perhaps they shared that information with you and we didn't know.
So the decision that we made was based on the information that we had, and also looking at the bylaws. And so I think the thing is that the PAC looks at the criteria and sees if the criteria are met, but they don't really give the alternative, if that makes any sense. It's sort of, this does not meet the criteria for us to approve the permit.
So we did have an architect, and everything was met. All our bylaws were met. They referenced wanting to keep the historical, just to let you know, that's a new porch that we built 19 years ago. There's nothing historic about it. So it needed to be, anyway, I just wanted to know if there was any more information that they gave you in order to clarify your decision, and there wasn't. Thank you.
I would be happy to speak with you after the meeting, though.
Yeah, I can just add that we review and make decision with the same process for every project. We have the exact documents that PAC has. Plus, we had the chance also to meet you and meet the architect. So we had all the information that we needed. Well, we made a decision on what we had as information. Yeah. And the PAC doesn't make decision following bylaws. The bylaws are followed by the urban planning department. The PAC is working with criterias. It's two different aspects. So you might respect all the town's bylaws, but the criterias of the project is a different approach. Yeah. Mr. Chanvel?
In your opening, report of the mayor, you mentioned you met with Hydro-Quebec regarding tree maintenance. Can you share what you got from the meeting?
Well, it was a presentation. It was unfortunately not, I would say, an open discussion, but they were explaining to us how they maintain the tree, how they manage the trees, how they cut them to make sure that this doesn't affect their lines. So that was the purpose of the meeting. Yeah.
Is it street trees, street lines, or the hydro line?
All of them. Yeah. It was not only urban; it was also in the rural areas. It was general to all Quebec.
It was just a general kind of meeting?
Yeah, it was a presentation. Yeah.
Okay, so it wasn't specific to...
No, it was an online presentation giving to all elected officials throughout Quebec. So very general presentation. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Bonsoir.
Bonsoir, Désirée McGraw, Wolseley. Je tenais juste à souligner, vous féliciter, la Ville et SPVM, d'avoir fait le choix à court terme de mettre un brigadier scolaire. Et je pense que c'est très important. C'est une très bonne décision. Donc, je tenais à vous féliciter. Ça ne va pas régler le problème sur l'ensemble du Québec pour changer le guide pour les brigadiers scolaires, mais au moins, ça va être une solution à court terme à Montréal-Ouest. Donc, je voulais vous féliciter. Concernant l'agenda, le numéro concernant Hydro-Québec, la résolution qui a été passée, encore une fois, je tenais à vous dire que félicitations, congratulations. My colleague Liz Prass and I convened those postmortems with Hydro-Quebec and all the mayors. I think it was important for Hydro to hear directly from the mayors about the impact on the ground of the prolonged of the power outage, and Montreal-West, of course, having a particular set of concerns. I will say that NDG has adopted a similar resolution, and it was my first request to the ministre responsable in Hydro to have a public assembly to clarify. The line so far, the response so far is there is an NDG, a class action suit against Hydro, which may preclude them. But they are nonetheless doing information sessions, and including in Côte Saint-Luc around the works. So we're happy to continue to work with you to find a way so that the public can benefit from some of the information that we benefited from as elected officials. So I just wanted to applaud the council on two of its key decisions and resolutions tonight.
Thank you very much. Merci. Any other questions on the floor? No, we don't have any questions online. Donc, la période de questions se termine à 9h38. Levée de la séance.
Monsieur le maire, je propose de lever la séance.
Je l'appuie.
Tous en faveur, all in favor?
Oui.
Oui. Très bien. Merci beaucoup. Bonne fin de soirée. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.